Hi and welcome to another Carpenter Tutoring tutorial. I'm Amy and today we're going to talk about the definition of absolute value. Absolute value is a way of counting the number of jumps that we have to take to go from 0 to any value that exists on the number line. So another way of thinking about this is that the absolute value of any number is the distance that number is from 0. We can use a number line to help us visually understand what absolute value means. So let's say we were looking for the absolute value of -4. The first thing that I would have to do is identify where -4 falls on the number line. I can see that it's right here. The next thing that I have to do is count how many jumps I have to take to get from that number to 0. I would have to take 1, 2, 3, 4 jumps. Since the number of jumps that I take, or the distance from 0, is 4, that tells me that the absolute value of -4 is 4. The way that we can show this mathematically is by asking for the absolute value of -4. And the way we ask for that is putting the value we want to measure the distance from 0 of inside vertical lines, just like we see here. So we can say the absolute value of -4 is 4. One interesting thing that we'll see is the absolute value of a number is always either 0 or positive. It will never be a negative number. Let's double check that this is true by testing another value. This time, let's look for the absolute value of 2. What we have to do first is find 2 on the number line. It's right here. And then count how many jumps we have to take to get from 2 to 0. I have to take 1, 2 jumps. So that tells me that the absolute value of 2 is 2. Once again, we'll see that our absolute value is a positive number. One more special scenario that we can check is what happens if we ask for the absolute value of 0. That means I have to find 0 on the number line, which is here. And then I have to count how many jumps I have to take to get from 0 to 0. Well, since I'm already at 0, I don't have to take any jumps at all. The way that we show nothing or no jumps mathematically is by using 0. So the absolute value of 0 is 0. You may have noticed a pattern emerging here. Whatever absolute value we're taking ends up being the positive version of whatever we see in the absolute value symbols. So for example, if I'm looking for something like the absolute value of -3.42, I know that this is going to be the same number as inside the absolute value symbols, just the positive version. So that means the absolute value of -3.42 must be positive 3.42. Similarly, if I have a more complicated positive number inside the absolute value symbols, something like the absolute value of 5.39, I'll see that my absolute value is actually just the number that was inside the absolute value symbols, 5.39. Recognizing this pattern allows us to quickly find the absolute value of different numbers without having to use a number line, and it's especially helpful for values that are a little bit trickier to put on a number line. I hope this has been a helpful discussion of the definition of absolute values and the patterns that we can use to help us solve absolute value problems. As always, if you have any questions, let me know down in the comments. Thanks so much for spending part of your day with me. Please like and subscribe, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.